Gals, I'm Brian.
And I'm Brad.
And this is the review of John Wick. No subtitle besides Chapter 4. Brad, what do you want to do? You want to do spoiler free?
Let's do a spoiler free section of this since the movie is so new. For us, we are recording this on the Sunday night of the weekend that it came out on. So we don't really have any box office numbers. We do have a little bit, but not complete box office numbers for the first weekend. So I think we should give people a little bit of time, give them a little bit of spoiler free, and then give them some juicy spoilers on how. Blah, 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 blah.
All right, so this is how I said it.
Aliens take over.
Yes, John Wick versus aliens, and Daniel Craig comes in through a time portal from Cowboys versus Aliens.
Yep, and then Tyrese and Ludacris land a car from space. It's crazy.
Spoilers! All right, so here's my one sentence review that I told Christian, and then I think maybe we could rank them. That might give people an idea. But what I said was the first one was like is alright. It's alright in terms of action. Like there's some great action, but if you go back, the last fight is a very tired fist fight with a geriatric old man, which is not the John Wick we have come to know anymore. So it was all right. It was pretty good and was emotionally resonant for me. 2 and 3 took that crazy action, cranked it to 11, gave us all this crazy stuff. 3, went a little too far in the repeating for me, like the horses. By the third horse who can just be made to kill somebody like it's a button in a video game, I'm like, all right, come on, let's get. We're at 11, but I need some variation. And then I think the fourth one, but 2 and 3 weren't very emotionally resonant for me. I think the fourth one took that crazy action we're at that level and then brought back emotional resonance into the mix. For me, I would put this tied with the first. No, this might be my favorite because I was never bored. It had all the best parts of the franchise for me, in terms of that crazy 11 action, but the emotional resonance of the first. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I think this is the best one. For me, 2 was all crazy action, beautifully done. 3 felt like it left us on the cliffhanger because it did. And like I've already said, the first one, while emotionally resonant and pretty crazy, and they've even joked about it, the directors themselves, it ended with a fight with a geriatric old man. That should have been over in 5 seconds for John Wick, even at his most sleep deprived. How about yourself, sir?
1 for me, I agree with your assessment of 1. 2, I think, was like basically all action and very little dialogue. I bet you that probably that's got to be on the low end of most or least amount of dialogue in a blockbuster movie, probably ever. Because I want to say there's not that much dialogue into it's mostly fight sequences and action, which is fine. I mean, it was still solid. 3 was setting us up for this movie. They did a really good job explaining more of the backstory of the Continental, of how the world and the John Wick world works. And then, yeah, Chapter 4 is everybody he didn't kill in the third one, he's trying to kill in the fourth one. So if you go to the movie theater and you see John Wick, just tell him he got you in the last movie.
And it occurred to me, actually, the end of Chapter 2 in this franchise was a cliffhanger for Chapter 3, but somehow that felt more complete to me.
Yeah.
Well, I guess because I know why. Because everything that was set up in that film was resolved by the end. And then they introduced a new wrinkle.
Where 3, not everything was resolved.
Yeah.
And they kind of left you just like, yeah, hey, by the way. Here's John Wick off a building, and
it seems like it's gonna be. I'm closing the book. Nope, the book's open, and there's still half left.
Yep.
Or I guess 3/4 of the way left, based on this runtime.
All of a sudden, we just jump into the Matrix, and it's craziness. But
yeah, let me look up what the.
So for my rankings, it's gonna be 4. Super close is number 1. A little bit of a distance will be number 3, and then by probably a bigger distance than the other 2 will be number 2 last. By a good distance. If I were to sit down and watch all 4 of these movies, I would have no problem watching any of them. I know they like to play them on TV quite a bit. On weekends, they play all 3 of them back to back to back on TNT and stuff like that. So you can catch them at just about any point, and I would have no problem sitting down and watching number 2. But I think if I was going to sit down and rewatch any of them, I'd probably rewatch 4, rewatch 1, and then 3, and then if I had time, I'd squeeze in 2.
Nice. That makes sense. How do you feel about this movie not having a subtitle? Because Chapter 3 was Parabellum, which means prepare for war. It should have just told us it wasn't going to finish because there was all the preparations. And then I just looked up Latin word for war, but it's just bellum, so that'd be pretty weird if it was like John Wick, bellum.
Yeah. Did Chapter 2 have a subtitle? I don't think it did.
No. Its subtitle was Chapter 2. Technically.
Yeah. And then something different with this movie versus all their other movies is that once you're finished with the movie, you stay through all of the credits.
Oh yes, yep.
And then that's the first time they've done it in all 4 movies where they had a credit scene. This is a post-credit scene, so you have to stay through all of the credits to see the post-credit scene.
Fun fact, I just learned today that there's a post-credit scene in the same way that Captain America, the First Avenger, had a post-credit scene for Matrix 2, which is basically just a trailer for the next film.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. I was looking through in other languages. War, Valka is Czech. That could have been cool. Urlog was. I clicked on the link after it was Dutch. Where did we end up? Paris?
Yeah.
Spoiler for a location. Let's see. French for war. All right, you say something because it's loading, and I'm freezing.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know you see in the trailers. So if you've seen any of the trailers, then you know that's going to be a location. If you saw the cast list, you might have a clue that there was that would be one of the locations. So I don't think it's that spoilery. It'd be like saying this movie takes place partly in New York, which the other 3s did. So why wouldn't you assume that this one would at least somewhat take place in New York? So I mean, I don't really think it's that big of a spoiler.
I got you.
Now, a really big spoiler would be when Ludacris landed that car on the water and jet ski
on the moon.
On the moon. Then had to pull a jet ski from the trunk and was wave riding the moon dust.
So I looked up what the French word for war was, and it said guerre. But then I realized that I'd seen that in another film that is going to be on Prime in a month. But if you have ALS, I'd check it out. Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre, which means what was it? Ruse of war. And then I tried translating time for war to French, and it said le thème de la guerre. So that might not be the best for John Wick.
John Wick movie.
But I just found time for war Tempus Belli. Belly. I guess Tempest could be cool.
Yeah. Or it's time because you're preparing for war and now it's time.
Yeah.
So it could probably be shortened down to one word.
But what the fuck? All right. Oh, okay. I see what I did. I hit the enter bar in Google Translate and it sent it to another line. So I put end of war, and on the other side I said terminus of asterisk bellum. But when I go, yeah, it's still belly. Never mind. I'm just going down my own little rabbit hole that has nothing to do with the actual fiber of the film.
All right. So do you want to rank this now? Do you want to give it a ranking of go see it in theaters, see it when it comes out?
See it in theater. I mean, see it in theaters. 100%.
Okay. So it's a good enough movie that you should spend the $13, $14, $15 to go see.
It's
assuming
a good.
You don't have A-list.
I was going to say it's a good enough movie that you should see it by A-list. Make it one of the at least 2 films this month. Yeah, I mean, it is a nearly 3-hour film and I'm interested in your take on this facet of it, that didn't feel to drag to me. It actually fascinated me with some of the story elements that I guess I won't spoil here. And I mean, I'm seeing it tomorrow in Dolby. I saw it in IMAX last Friday. But so I'm gonna, or no, not tomorrow, Tuesday. But I'm gonna be seeing it again in theaters. I think it's worth it, and yeah, it did a good job. I'm sure. I'm not gonna give it an ayahuasca or a or a mushroom necessarily. I don't think so. But it satisfied me. I think there's potentially still room for more stories in John Wick.
It's already been confirmed that they're doing a Continental spinoff coming September of this year.
Yeah, but I'm also like Chad Stahelski, the director of these last 3 and the co-director of the first one, said that he and Keanu Reeves need a break.
Yeah.
which I knew before going in, which is totally fair considering, the fact that they probably made this and 3 equal distances apart to when Matrix Resurrections happened, and they're still excellent. I think I have a theory that part of the purpose of Matrix Resurrections was to kill the franchise of the Matrix, so it being subpar in the action department might have been intentional. But they're doing great work. Let them have a break. They seem to have been cranking these out. I mean, even I know Keanu Reeves on a week that he was off went to film for Ali Wong's Netflix film Won't You Be My Maybe or something like that. He literally left set to do a part on another film. So they are, and just even knowing the physical requirements for the original Matrix trilogy, which I've been deep diving into those special features, this shit is God.
They've done 4 movies in about 8.5 years, because the first one came out October 24th, 2014. So October this year would be 9 years. So yeah, about 8.5 years. They've cranked out 4 movies.
Damn! And considering the fact that they probably took 2 years off for COVID or somewhere in there, or a year off, never mind. This movie is all mushrooms. You can't. And I like the MCU. I'm still liking it, even though it's more disappointing regularly for me. And I'm never going to be watching Critical Drinker telling about how the woke mob is destroying the MCU. It's not because of that. But those films, 3 years apart, in certain franchises, some you can just be like, guys, fucking slow down, take a break, do another rewrite. The fact that these movies, Chapter 2, which I think we're both, or Chapter, which is at the bottom for you, Chapter 2?
2.
Okay, so 2 and 3 even are definitely in, I would say, top 50% of MCU. No, or where would you put those? Any actually in the bottom half?
I don't think so.
at the very least, they're doing amazing work.
Yeah.
to not have it ever dipped so low in just one team, really, like one director who lost his other director to do Bullet Train and Deadpool 2 and Atomic Blonde and all, he's kept busy, and they also worked on stuff like Mission Impossible, or no, not Mission Impossible, maybe, but Captain America Captain America the Winter Soldier. They came in and were like second unit directors. The whole chase sequence where Bucky grabs the motorcycle and flips around. My God, how did they? Okay, all right. A hell of a lot more respect for all of them. My rankings and opinions on them don't change, but like it's one of those like nice.
Yeah. Well, and I think like in this movie, I don't know about the other movies without looking it up, but he did 90% of the stunts in this movie. So on a physical level, I mean, that's taking a beating, not to mention all the hours he put in training. You can go on YouTube and find the videos of him like doing all the tactical reloading and like running through like these simulation drills that I forgot what that is called, where they're like basically fake training to break into a building or do all the sharpshooting with the targets popping up and stuff like that. So you can find those videos on YouTube or on his Instagram. I think they were up there too for a while. Just the amount of time that he put in for this film outside of filming for it, it's pretty nuts too. So I can imagine he'd want a break.
Yeah, even hearing about Halle Berry's experience on the third one, I was like, and her talking about how much she had to train, but I think she said Keanu had to train a lot more than her, which would make sense just runtime wise. Her training with the dogs was interesting. Apparently, Keanu was not supposed to, and he didn't, look them in the eyes. She was the only person on set who could look at the dogs in the eyes or they would attack them. Like, this is some crazy. I think they did. All right, so I kind of made a little complaint about the horse kicking in 3. The dogs were definitely the same, where it was just way overdone, but it was just, in my theater, it was so funny just watching the dogs bite 37 different crotches.
Yeah.
Unintended number, but beautiful number. Yeah, they balanced it more in this one.
Yeah. If you're a pet person, you're okay to see this movie, because I know the first one you might have you a little shell shocked, a little scared. So you're okay to see a movie like this. You
might be. We'll get into spoilers. I'll say it in the first spoiler if you want to wait around for that spoiler. Do you want to go into spoilers since I just promised that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, spoilers. That was very nice of you, but I had a couple moments not knowing if it would be safe, and there was some moments where like, oh, they're doing it again. They're doing it again. There's some close calls.
Yes. So we're firmly in the spoiler territory. The first spoiler is, yes, the dog that follows him around is safe. There is a close caller too. But this dog also likes peanuts. He's very, very familiar with peanuts and does not have a peanut allergy, because the guy even says,
"Oh,
hey, nut," and then the dog chews on some peanuts.
I thought you would just notice something I didn't notice. You fucking clever motherfucker. Yeah. Second spoiler. Our top dog is not safe. Because there's no time for John Wick to do the 5th one.
I thought that was pretty funny that like we've done like 2 big blockbusters like the weekends they've come out, and both of them have the main character die at the end.
Are you talking about No Time to Die?
Or die, because I think that was the last time we did like a movie opening weekend. I think it was the last one. Happened to be the main character, quote unquote, dies. So.
Well, hey, if you had done the Whale opening weekend, that would have bucked the trend, or would it have? I'm not going to spoil it for you because I didn't promise a spoiler warning for the Whale. That's the only other movie I ever saw really quickly, and I was like, "Let's go," and you're like, "No, I need a safe place to watch this potential bomb." It was interesting afterwards thinking about the Matrix in trying to kill the franchise at the fourth one, possibly, and this one potentially killing the franchise at the fourth one. It's like,
I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to give them an excuse to take a break for a little bit, or Keanu Reeves to step aside for a minute. I don't, in my personal opinion, I don't think he's actually dead.
yeah,
I think that they just buried him or made like a grave and everything for him, so that way he could be non-existent. And I think something eventually, John Wick 5, when it happens in 5 to 10 years, that gives him a reason to come back out of retirement again.
yeah, I'm very 50-50. I could see it as that because that was my initial thought, but then I could also see them filming it like this to leave it open for either. You know what I mean? Because I don't
bring him back. I mean, they've already kind of squared it up so that way the one lady can kind of take over. What's his name? Danny.
I don't remember anybody's name.
He's the
except John Wick.
One with the Force is with me, or something like that. From some rogue crappy movie Star Wars made.
Oh,
like
no,
3.
he wants to retire with his. Well, one, he wanted to retire with his daughter, but two, he might be dead.
He's not.
Yeah.
Did you see the post-credit scene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know it cuts off, but like they didn't have any. He might defend himself. Side note, I really like that post-credit scene because it made me go, oh, yeah, I get it.
We didn't tie up that loose end.
It was more like the tragedy of like he's almost there, but then it's kind of the Kill Bill Volume 3 potential, but moved up to right before she kills Bill.
Donnie Yen.
Yep. Yeah. Great character. But as far as
blind?
No.
Please, I didn't think
he has played
blind characters.
That is an interesting parallel. I didn't think of that. No, well, I don't know how the blindness factored in because I didn't know he was blind going into the movie. I only knew that his original character was going to be like very generic in terms of his ethnicity, as in the original character's name I think was Yang, and he wore very I know this isn't accurate, but it's the most my depreciated brain can come up with. Very monkish, you know what I mean? Like soft,
very
tan.
like IP man.
I've never seen those movies, but sure. Kind of like this color of very soft clothing and
great podcasting. I'm just messing with you.
Spotify video. Or YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, very, very martial arty, white top, black pants, very flowy.
Something like that.
What kind of like what he looks like an IP man.
Okay. And he was like, hey, can we not? Can we do something different? And so that's why the suit and calling him Kane.
Kane is very neutral, very descriptive of his characteristics and not so much of his ethnicity. Obviously, he's blind. He carries around a stick or a cane, but therefore he's
his name is Kane because he is not fully able. Sorry.
Wow.
What? Wow. I was waiting for a character named Abel, and then I literally heard Kane. I was like Kane and Abel. Oh wait, he's not Abel. Oh. He's very capable. He's very
dad joke.
Wait, he's handy capable.
That's a dad joke.
It's a bad dad joke. I recognize. That's why I'm beat red. Because I'm not proud of it. It's one. It just needed to be said so everyone can laugh at me and be like, "That's not cool."
Yeah,
um.
but I think he did a I think he did a stellar job. I don't have any complaints with his acting. Even with him being blind, they needed him to grab some things. He'd fumble around a little bit, or they handed something to him on a tray. He missed the first time, bumped the bottom, and then bumped the bottom of the tray. Ran his hand over the edge and grabbed what was on the tray.
Yeah.
So even like little things like that still made it feel pretty realistic that
Yeah.
he would be blind.
He's not
He missed,
Daredevil.
yeah, he missed a ton of shots, but he also was in the right area for a lot of shots too. I think when he was fighting John the first time in like that glass in the top of the Continental in Japan, Osaka,
Yeah.
she shot over John a couple times because John was on the floor. And he shot into the wall, like which would have been like waist high or so, torso high, but John was on the ground and he didn't know that he was laying on his side. So he kind of shot over top of him a few times. So it made it feel realistic to him being blind and not everything not being perfect. But he also was very good with his sword play. So
Okay, two things. I'm gonna ask the question, but then say the second thing really quick before I forget either one. But one, can you remind me if there is any expression from John Wick towards Mr. Manager frustration for shooting him off the top of the roof? That's my question. But the thing that I needed to remember was that the gentleman who is the concierge, he died like a week ago.
yeah, I'm
Like
surprised they
in
didn't have
real
anything.
life.
I know it's kind of hard to do those stuff last minute, but I'm surprised there wasn't like a at the end of the thing like a memorial or something like that. Real quick,
For
yeah,
his name.
yeah, in loving memory, blah blah blah. A picture of him lasts up there for 5 to 10 seconds and fades out and then goes into the credits. I know that's hard to do. I know that's not exactly something they can just like slam in there and. But yeah, I'm kind of
Yeah.
surprised.
But yeah, and also like I don't know the distribution process. I'm sure it's more digital than anything, but when I used to work in movie theaters, you'd get like the the whatever cartridge went in like get delivered and it'd be all hush hush. So hopefully they do something for the Blu-ray and digital release. But like, yeah, because with what is it, Captain Marvel, they probably had months beforehand with Stan Lee to put that in the intro, and they had actually been working on that. Just keeping it in mind that he was getting up there, but yeah, that was. I was like, I hope they find some way in John Wick 5 to like write him out smoothly and honor him. And then when that happened, I was like,
oh yeah,
"Ooh, the timing, bud! Oh my god! Okay, you gave him an honorable, or you gave him an honorable out. All things considered of the franchise, but like
too soon."
Whoa, the timing was just fucking crazy.
Lance Reddick.
Yeah.
So to go back to answer your question, I do think there was a little bit of resentment from getting shot off off the top of the Continental. Because when they met for the first time, when Winston basically had him pulled, and they met at the top of up top of those stairs I forgot what it was. I think it was Latin written on the stairs going up in the snow. Um, he seemed very cold and very distant to him. Didn't get very close. So I do think there was some resentment there. I think at the end of the day, John knew that he had a choice. Winston had a choice to make, um, and it probably wasn't the one John would have chose. But yeah, I do think there was a little bit of resentment there. I think at the end of the day, I think it kind of gotten smoothed out a little bit when he kind of came up with a plan to what he needed to do to get at this guy. And then I think John kind of really felt better or more complete when he found out that if John dies, he dies. So he tied his life to John's in a sense of by championing him or whatever. So by being his second.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see how it hits on a second one, but I would have liked, I don't know, something more, I guess more aggressive or just more frustrated. Um, Maybe if he had taken or wanted to have Lawrence Fishburne's character be second, although, what if he wanted Lawrence Fishburne's character and then he was like, you know what? Just in case I fail, you show like proof it. So, I don't know. It didn't hurt my viewing experience because, frankly, I kind of forgot about it while watching it.
Yeah, but I do think there was at least a little bit of resentment there. At least that one scene with where they meet up in the snow outside. I think it looked like an old church or something like that. So I do think there was some resentment there. It may not have been a ton, but there's I would say there's definitely some.
I also just realized why it felt like they were keeping it more open ended than final, the ending. I think Ian McShane, either Ian McShane or Chad Stahelski, they weren't great at eliciting a performance that convinced me they were sad they lost a friend. And I thought of that because when the concierge dies and he says it should have been me, that just wasn't a line reading I really bought. Or like I understood it intellectually, but I was like, I don't feel it deep down when you're saying it. So when he says goodbye friend or whatever he says to John Wick, the delivery didn't feel like, I don't like this whole monologue and performance necessarily, but at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, when Michael Caine is crying that he's lost Bruce, I believed the emotion of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you mean by it. Like it may have been true, but it doesn't feel true. Yeah, you understand the words that he's saying, and he says the words that he's saying, but it doesn't sound like it's coming from a place of hurt or a place of anger, or it just sounds like
it's coming from Jeff Bezos. Or no, not Jeff Bezos. Damn it, I wanted to make a Mark Zuckerberg joke.
Yeah, it comes from a place of like, here's the script, here's what I know I have to say, and I'm just gonna say these lines. So I want to know if there's out there, I'm sure somebody will have this figured out, a total body count for this movie and all 4 movies put together. Because it was getting ridiculous there for a while there.
My theater, this should be a point where if the movie's not working, the theater will just riot. But when he got kicked down both sets of flights of stairs times, we were cracking up. It was dumb for you.
It was so dumb.
I love
because it looked like he stopped for a second on one of the flats. And then was like just like pushed himself over the edge to keep going.
Oh no, the guy from who was in Osaka kicked him again. He like ran after him and got him.
Well, even when he was tumbling down the stairs, when he'd hit a couple flats. There was one of the flats that looked like he like stopped, looked at the edge of the stairs, and then had to like force himself over.
It wasn't that the guy
kicked him, because the one guy slid down the side and kicked him. And then sent him the rest of the second half of the way. There's on that first set, there was one flat of stairs where he stopped and looked like he had to look to see where he was going to make sure that he made it over the edge, because he didn't look like that his momentum wouldn't have carried him that far.
All right, I'll have to look for that.
Not to mention he could have hit any one of those poles or not hung himself, but like
caught himself,
halved himself into one of the railing poles that go down to the ground. He just perfectly went at a straight angle, tumbling down these stairs without getting caught on anything or hitting a side. Or that was just, I understood.
He's a sucker for punishment.
Yeah, I understand what it did for the movie. It put a realistic time crunch on him.
Also, Caine fighting up the hill with him.
Yeah.
That was unexpected for me, but I enjoyed it.
When I saw it, when they were doing the duel at the end, and they took the first pace in, and So they shot each other. Both of them grazed each other's arm, I think, right? I think it was both their arms. The second time, Donnie got hit in like the hip area. John got hit in the shoulder. They stepped in and they were down to 10 paces. I really thought they were going to turn and shoot the guy that was putting everything on and that guy. And that was going to be like where the movie went from that point, or where the series goes from that point.
Oh yeah, now they're getting hunted again for breaking the rules again.
For breaking the rules, but they killed the guy that they wanted to kill and a powerful guy on the table.
By the way, Bill Skarsgård is, anyone who hasn't seen The Barbarian, he's great in that too. He's killing it. The douchey Frenchman or whatever.
Okay. He seemed really tall too compared to a lot of the actors.
He's huge. He's like only 2 feet shorter than you.
Yeah. I also
Brad is canonically 12 feet tall.
Yes. In the movie industry, I am like Godzilla. I also thought this movie hit some like really bad tropes that they didn't need to hit throughout this movie, which I thought was funny. But you had like overly big guys fighting him, and then you had like one boss guy who was like, I don't know, 350, 400 pounds, gets shot in the butt, gets stabbed in the side several times, and he was like the whale. He's like, you're gonna go at least 2 feet in to hit my organs here, like that kind of thing. It was just like, this is like a comic book thing or like a video game. Now you got to face a big bad boss, and he's like way wider, way taller, and way stronger than you. Like, it's just like, it just seems like a trope.
I mean, at this point, since like chapter 2, probably it is just a video game.
Yeah. Well, and then they did the overhead shot when they're going through.
Yes, that was beautiful.
I thought it was a great shot, but at the same time, I was like, this feels like a video game, like a top-down video game, and we're just running through rooms, clearing them out.
When I got home from my viewing, I didn't share this with you because you hadn't seen it yet, but that was the tweet I got from when Philip DeFranco saw it. He was like, I just shush. my watch, if no one heard. He was like, just got back, and then mentioned that it was talk about how great it was, or he was being vague enough that I don't remember it. But no, I mean, I loved it. I know this one really worked for me compared to 2 and 3 because it varied everything up so much. Like there was obviously variation in those other films, but when something is getting repetitive, or let me put it this way, considering the top-down look, those other films I don't think filmed things very differently, so it didn't feel different. Like that whole top-down sequence probably would have just been ripe for the cutting if it wasn't so uniquely filmed and interesting in that sense.
It wasn't always just a straight top down as we're zooming over walls and stuff like that. And sometimes they angled in, sometimes they angled out a little bit.
Yeah, I think they cut twice
to make it very dynamic.
Yeah. But yeah. I love this, or I very much enjoy this movie. I respect the hell out of the work ethic. I'm thinking about the fact that you said 2014? Damn.
Yeah.
The fact is,
October of 2014.
The fact is, I actually saw the trailers for that. This is before like Keanu Reeves had his renaissance. Actually, John Wick 1, I think we could all agree, is the reason for his renaissance because it led to beautiful films like Bill and Ted's Excellent Journey, or no, not Excellent. Not Excellent. Whatever the third one. Face the Music. Bill and Ted Face the Music. That was the third one that came back, and I loved that. Matrix happened again. Him being in Always Be My Maybe and all these other things. But like, just, I forgot where I was going with this, but damn, this is just, if this is the end, I'm satisfied. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I can see where they're going to go with this. If they continue this franchise on, they're going to do the spin-off with the the lady from the Osaka Continental and her chasing down um, Donnie. So
Oh,
I can see where
is
they're going to
she
go.
the main character in the spinoff?
No, the spin-off is about the Continental and the hotel system. I don't know
Ah,
who it features, but I'm just saying, like, if they want to continue with John Wick movies, because I think that's going to be a TV show.
yeah.
The John Wick movies, then I think the next one will be that lady from the Osaka Continental who's going to try and hunt down Donnie this whole time. Um,
And I think they've
so
had a script for an all-female cat or a female either. I don't know if you call it a spinoff if it uses new characters, but it's called like Ballerina, and I think Anna de Armas was floated around as possibly being connected to that, which would be dope.
yeah, and they've already got a spot for them to spin off from because we were already inside of the Ballerina Hall in this movie.
Oh.
So
I
I
heard
mean,
we were already inside of them. Like who? Who were we inside? Wait,
sorry,
which one was the ballerina hall?
it was the Russians in Germany. Because we saw the ballerinas in the beginning of the movie, and then I think it was also in that section of the movie where there was ballerinas and dancing and stage play.
Okay, was that the family that he had?
Yeah, that he had to get into because his family lineage was scalded onto his back, and then they put the upside down cross on his back, so he had to get a new family to basically fight for.
One of the things I forgot to mention that I really enjoyed in this one that I didn't see it a lot in the others is this felt like it took all the strengths of like a mob epic and then just added all the fucking action. Like there's certain dramatic or double crosses and stuff that don't even relate to John Wick directly, or how do I just liked all the soap opera-esque machinations behind the scenes that weren't necessarily directly tied to John Wick.
So, like a good example would be the card game that when they played 5-card draw, and the one guy had 5 twos. that wasn't directly at John Wick, but it was kind of like that mob, like you already lost when you sat down at this table. Because Donnie had John had 2 pair aces and queens. Donnie had 4 of a kind. The one guy had a royal flush, and he had 5 twos.
Yeah, and I loved Cade saying, "Let me guess, 5." I don't know if he said 5 twos, but yeah, 5 of a kind. It's freaking great. Yeah, this is
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was great. I mean, all the characters that they added into this movie, they kind of gave us a reason to not like them or like them. And I think they did a really good job of connecting Wick and Kane, and Wick to both Winston and Lawrence Fishburne's character was also started with a C. I'm trying to think of what his name was. So they did a really good job tying everybody together. But also, when they added in the new characters, they made them they flushed them out enough that we either cared or didn't care about them, wanted them to die, didn't want them to die. They did a good job adding Mr. Nobody, I guess, and his dog, because I don't think he actually got an actual name. To the point where everybody in the theater was pretty scared once that dog got pointed at, and then John Wick ended up saving him, and then that's what ends up saving John Wick in the end, is because he repaid back that favor, that kindness.
I really hope that in the Continental we get some returns of other characters that we've left behind, like Common's character in Chapter 2, the super fan in Chapter 3. It's like, John Wick, I'm such a fan. It's an honor to fight you. And the woman from Okina, or what was it?
Yeah, I think Okina. Yeah,
or Okinaga.
I don't. Yeah, where the Japanese Continental that we saw was.
Can you tell that once I landed in America, I didn't go anywhere but Canada a couple times?
The scenes, not stage, but the backgrounds to everything was super crisp, super nice. A lot of the filming locations. I would hope that they got permission to do it at like the temple, the unnamed soldiers temple or whatever it is in France. Not to say, okay, that came off wrong. Not to say that they wouldn't get permission to ask to film there, but like that they didn't build up a fake set to do that. That they did it actually at that site would be
Wait,
really cool.
which site is that? Is that the one that was
Where
in
the-
Mission Impossible Fallout with Angela Bassett and Henry Cavill?
If I'm remembering right, yes, it's the one with the big arch in the middle and a big roundabout around it, and then the guys split off. Some of them went the correct way around the roundabout, some went the opposite way.
Arc de Triomphe. That's the
Yeah,
Arc de Triomphe. Okay, so now that you've reminded me that there are two locations. No, the location I was thinking of from Fallout was when Henry Cavill's character brings the unbroken phone to Angela Bassett and makes the pitch that Ethan Hunt is John Lark for real, and you see the Eiffel Tower in the background. That's where I don't think John was even there. That's where Bill Skarsgård, the evil Frenchman, I think he's French, and Mr. Manager talk for a while. Maybe they discuss the terms. But the Arc de Triomphe, the only thing wrong I had in the whole film is that John Wick drove around the Arc de Triomphe solo, not fighting anybody, for too long. That was so stupid. Only because there's probably 60 seconds. Only 60 seconds, but at that point, I'm like, why are you not turning off anywhere? Why are you not turning off anywhere? Turn off somewhere else. Get out. Why are you not turning? What do you? And then once like they start engaging with him, I'm like, oh shit, he can't escape. But I'm like, just take that 60 seconds of freedom and cut it down to like 5 seconds, and I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, some of the scenes that I kind of had a chuckle about, that one was one of them. Also, and all these for the same reason. The club scene where they're battling the guy that they played cards against, the club scene, and there was another scene too. But like they're having an active gunfight, and people around them do not care, not even a little bit. Like John Wick had shot at the guy, running away from him, shot him in the butt. Nobody ran. Then they have like this whole fight up and down these stairs, and they throw John over the edge. Nobody cares. John Wick and that bigger dude is fighting in like an empty square with people dancing around them. Nobody cared. And then it wasn't until the very end where everybody calmly walks out of the place. Well, I would say mildly calmly walking out of this place and just like, yeah, okay, just another day at the club. Somebody got shot, so we're gonna leave now. And
yeah.
then the Arc de Triomphe where everybody's driving around and they're like, this car doesn't have doors, and he's firing bullets into the air out just at the other guys, missing, hitting, whatever. But nobody panics. Everybody just keeps going. They throw bodies into cars. The cars hit the bodies, stop, and move on. Like it's just a normal day for somebody just to get thrown into the face of a car, get ran over, and the guy just drives away. Oh, guess that's how the traffic laws work in France.
Yeah, it's not unique to this film, but I've heard like in years past people joking about how it's so, I think complementarily they've been saying it's hilarious that the John Wick franchise just has like assassin as a job that you could do and nobody really minds. Like if it happens around you.
They run on like a fake currency of just services borrowed, services rendered. Just yeah. We're just running off a fake currency. It's not actually, and it's completely normal for you to walk into a super nice hotel and slide a gold coin across the desk, and that's cool. Nobody else cares.
I don't know if this will mean that they definitely had to find a set, but I know that on Mission Impossible Fallout they had 90 total minutes. They were given 90 total minutes with the Arc de Triomphe at like 8 o'clock in the morning, or maybe even sooner. So they had to shut it off, and they probably had less than 60 minutes with fresh dew on all the cobblestone, which is incredibly dangerous. The the mechanism that was going to make sure that the motorcycle didn't tip over broke that morning. So Tom Cruise is just like, we just gotta go. Everyone stay on your mark, and I'll be safe as long as you fucking stay on your goddamn mark and don't swerve. I'll be fine. And they had to rush in and rush out just for 45 seconds of him driving in a circle, which this was not. So I don't know if that just meant that France liked John more than Ethan.
Well, they also did it. They did it in the dead of night. Obviously, you can tell, and some of it they probably didn't film 100% there, but any shot that they were able to get with the Arc de Triomphe in the back, because there's a lot of scenes where they're just gunfighting, and you can't really tell that you didn't necessarily need to be there to film that shot.
Yeah.
You could get a background. And a lot of the chaos and stuff like that, you probably didn't even look in the background to see if they were still by the Arc de Triomphe, but they probably did a large portion of it, especially like the overhead view and stuff like that. I'm sure they.
Yes, I mean, theoretically, they could have, CGI'd it all in, or most of it in the background, and done like a big set. Because I know Kingsman 2 did that. They had like lots, and they kind of digitally added the background for the opening chase sequence where he drifts. So, I mean, I'm going to be peeping at that now. But that would be, and I don't know if there's a difference for France, whether it's during the day or night, because I know that sequence in Mission Impossible Fallout, I don't think it started at night and then transitioned into day. I think it was fully day. But
yeah, so it might be a little bit easier. They might have gotten a little bit more time, at midnight to 2 a.m. or 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. than they probably would have at, 6 a.m., 7 a.m.
But still, thinking about how, even if that's a 4-minute sequence, all the squibs and setups and stuff, that you wouldn't be able to do that in 2 hours, or even just one night fully blocked off, unless they're a machine, a well-oiled machine.
But and like I said, some of it they weren't facing the Arc de Triomphe wasn't in the background, so they could have done some of that stuff on a set. So they definitely could have, but I didn't look hard enough to see if they did or didn't. But
you look plenty hard to me, and I didn't mean that sexually. I meant that like Vin Diesel, like dumb.
Family. That's what this movie comes down to. Family.
When was the moment you knew that John Wick was gonna die?
The first time where I had because I don't think he's actually dead. I think they're just using this to give Keanu Reeves, the actor, some time to do other things without pushing out a 5th movie so fast. Because I think they're going to do the spin-off Continental and spin-off. I think they're going to do another John Wick without John Wick, basically, and then he'll come back at the end of that movie, or they'll make reference to him still being alive. But the first time where I thought like there was a possibility that he would die was when he turned around and said, "Loving husband." And it's like, what? He was like, "That's what I want on my gravestone, loving husband."
I was so proud of I was so proud of myself, because sometimes my brain can just be in the moment and be like, nope, I'm not looking ahead at all. I'm enjoying myself. And then like you'll be like, yeah, they said loving husband. I mean, they're kind of channeling, or not channeling, but signaling that. In the moment I was like, oh, that thing. Foreshadowing. I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of like the first inkling. I was like, I don't think he's actually going to die, because I don't think they're going to end the franchise here. If they did, I think it would have been spoiled already. If it truly meant the end of this franchise, I think it would have been spoiled, or it would have been leaked out into Hollywood first.
Yeah.
So I don't think this franchise truly ended. It's like there was another movie that did this too.
I guess the lack of a green light for green light announcement is like the Hollywood equivalent of it's not continuing.
Yeah.
Because I think this was Lionsgate.
It was.
I think if they were going to make another John Wick in 2 years, like they've been doing, they would have announced it. You know what I mean? And I remembered what my point was when I was talking about the Keanu Renaissance. When I first saw the trailer for the first John Wick, tell me if you had a different experience, but I saw that and I was like, oh God. Oh, Keanu Reeves, you're doing bad action movies now? All right.
Wait, what?
When I first saw the trailer for the first John Wick, I thought it was gonna be the biggest piece of shit. I was just like, "Oh, you're trying to capitalize on that Matrix nostalgia." Oh God, no.
Because that's kind of what this is. I mean, it's a very similar. Constantine was more of like
I mean, he had no fighting skills, right? In Constantine?
No, but he had shooting skills or whatever, and didn't he was killing like angels and demons and stuff like that. He was like that kind of killer versus a assassin.
I would say that it would try to channel Constantine if people unanimously liked Constantine.
He wants to do it. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. I mean, no offense to Keanu Reeves, he's a sweet boy. He's a nice guy. I think if as long as he's going to be enjoying the crew and thinking he's doing something that somebody wants, he'll be down. One of my favorite things as an insight to that was when him and Carrie-Anne Moss were talking about the Unreal Engine that they did for the Matrix. They were talking, it came up the idea of a simulated prostitution, essentially, where like you can download someone's image and have sex with them. And he was like, isn't that just like crazy? Like someone could have sex with me if they wanted. Like, that's just wild. And he's like looking at the possibilities of the future. Carrie-Anne Moss is like, yeah, no, I wouldn't like that. And he's like, he's like not really understanding. And at that moment, I was like, oh, you're such an innocent, sweet boy. You don't understand that her whole life men have just been assuming they can have sex with her just because they're men. Like, she doesn't want that because she's had to deal with it her whole fucking life. You're just an innocent, very respectful, lovely man. Anyway,
so I just did a quick Google search. In 2020, the Lionsgate CEO, they already greenlit John Wick 5, or a fifth John Wick, before the filming of 4 even started. So yeah. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that's Keanu Reeves, that route. It could be a prequel, it could be a spin-off, but they've already greenlit a 5th movie.
All right. Yeah, it says when I looked up John Wick 5, I see Polygon saying all the John Wick Chapter 5 news so far, and in the little teaser says probably John Wick Chapter 5 was technically greenlit back in 2020. Yeah. And they probably are, without even clicking, I'm just guessing they're saying that because they're like, but like he might be dead.
Well, just because it's greenlit doesn't necessarily mean it has to be Keanu Reeves. It could be the other lady. It could be a prequel, a spin-off. It could be a different assassin. Could be about Donnie and Kane.
Also shit can just change. I mean, we don't have a Sinister Six or a movie, which was, even though that was greenlit before Spider-Man joined the MCU.
I wouldn't be totally against having seeing Kane a spinoff and how he lost his eyes, because in the movie he says he gave them up willingly.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't mind seeing how he lost his daughter, how he tried to get her back, used the high table, lost his eyes, and now is destined to be separated from his daughter. I wouldn't mind seeing a spinoff like that.
Yeah, that would be cool. In the article that I was watching, where he was saying he'd return for 5 under one condition, it was a generic, like, let's see how the audience responds. But there are also some quotes about, I don't know if I said it, but Anna de Armas's ballerina, which apparently is still happening. That'd be cool.
Yeah, she looked good in No Time to Die. I mean, they gave her what was it, like 15 minutes practice, and she did all right.
That's an interesting situation because I really like that sequence. However, I think someone posited that sequence seems like it would have been for Jeffrey Wright to help him with, for Jeffrey Wright's Leiter and Bond to have an actual sequence with each other before Leiter died. And like, I love the sequence, especially since like they did what Knives Out first. That's where it all came from. He enjoyed working with her so much. I'm like, oh, it did sacrifice an important sequence for Leiter in that film.
That would have tied us a little bit harder emotionally to him.
Yeah, so I'm very conflicted about that. It was a great sequence, but I think it's like if it was 100. If the Leiter sequence would have been 100, I think ultimately it's like a total 99. Like, yeah, we replaced it with something great, but we did lose something. I would love if... You know what? I guess not. I was going to say maybe John Wick 5 should just be called John Wick Ballerina and just not have John Wick in it at all. But then at that point, you're opening up discussions of, wow, there's a fully female-led film and you're still putting the man's name in it. But the reason I would have liked that is because then if there's a 6th John Wick and you just put John Wick 6, not Resurrections, and then not show him in any of the trailers, then boom, you're in the theater, it's fucking Keanu. I mean, you probably can't hide that.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty tough to hide.
But it would be pretty cool if they could pull it off.
Yeah, because every set designer, coffee runner would spill that beans so fast in the Hollywood Reporter or whatever.
I know how you do it. You just, without doing John Wick Ballerina, just make the next one John Wick Chapter 5 Legacy. And just I don't know, do the Deadpool 2 thing of literally filming shit that won't be in the film and putting it in the trailer. Just have somebody else say there'll be some flashbacks with Keanu Reeves, so anyone who's like, he's on set, and just then replace it. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know how they're gonna do a 5th one, how they're gonna do the naming for something like that. I think it'd be really tough, regardless of however you move on from this. Without Keanu Reeves, assuming how you would continue to use the John Wick franchise without, like, how could you tie it in? Like, there's no other than John Wick, there's no other name that anybody knows this by. There's no world. I mean, the Continental is going to take place, so you could have used the Continental to continue on with this franchise, but there's nothing really else you can grab onto. The High Table, I guess. The High Table Part 1.
I think if they called it Wick, like, just call it Wick. Pretend like maybe there's a family member we don't know about or something, just call it Wick and then bring back Keanu. Don't show him in the trailer. I just want to hide his return. That's what I'm finding out. I just want to be sneaky with the audience and everyone be like, whoa! Do the opposite of Star Wars The Force Awakens, where they're like, this is all about Luke and he's basically not going to be in the film. Just do the opposite of that. It's not about John. Psych. He's from the beginning.
Like everything.
And he's on an island planet. Yeah, I think Wick, like, even if it's Wick 5 Legacy, that Legacy's just to throw people off. But if you just shorten it to Wick and just have the number 5 on it, then people will think things have changed. It's not about John anymore. It's open, but we're keeping the numbering for the franchise, and then just continue on with Wick from there.
Yeah, have Wick and have the 5 be the C. WI5K.
I'm trying to imagine what that would look like and if I like that or not. I can't.
It'd be tough. And then that way you could just do Wick 5, and then you could have it literally anything else on the bottom, like Parabellum, and everybody would just know it by Parabellum. But then you can keep the numbering sequence in there.
Wick, but one of the W's is a 5 symbol. Did you say something?
I mean, no, I'm good. I understand where you're coming from.
I'm just being. Wait, which one did you replace with a 5 in Wick?
The C.
The C?
If there was an S, it'd be super easy, but there's not an S.
Yeah.
So one person we haven't really talked about, Lawrence Fishburne.
Wick with 5 eyes.
No, absolutely.
Wick.
You'd be better off splitting the W into a V, so that way it's like a Roman numeral 5.
We don't title it Wick. We title it Vic. Vic. So, here's the trailer. Someone is going around as Vic, John Vic, and like they think like someone's a copycat. That's the whole trailer. People are being hunted. Someone's under the name Wick. They don't know who it is. Walk into the movie. Let the first 20 minutes be that, where it's just literally a boogeyman, like it's a horror movie with action, and you never see the person, and it's Keanu.
Kind of like Hawkeye when he goes undercover
as Ronan.
Ronan, yeah.
Yeah.
So we haven't talked much about Lawrence Fishburne. I think he did really well
because he didn't get a lot.
Yeah, I still think he did. I still think he did really well with his character. I think in Parabellum he did all right with the birds and everything with the adjudicator. In this movie, I think he really stepped out to being like really on his high horse in a sense that like he makes himself feel so self-important several times in this movie, which I think was kind of funny. He said he's already got his gravestone made. The king is here or something like that.
Is that why you put that on? Okay.
Yeah. Well, and he shouted it like a bunch of times too. Because apparently was it the Rocky? No, what is it? Yeah, is it Rocky that Apollo Creed shouts the king is here or something like that?
I don't know. To be perfectly honest, I only watched the first Rocky for the first time like two weeks ago. I've watched the Creed trilogy, but
do not look on Vudu. They are not there.
Oh, they're streaming on HBO Max.
Oh, are they?
Oh, okay. They're on your Vudu? Oh, yeah. Touche. The one thing that I noticed afterwards that I was like, that's weird, but I get it, is the fact that Winston, I thought mentioning the church was like John Wick was gonna be able to sleep in a church for the night and be safe like that. I thought he was just running to a safe house, but Winston literally is like, okay, good luck getting to the church, and they split up just to come back. I get why, because Winston doesn't want to be next to all the bullets.
Yeah. This is the closest we can drop you, like miles away from this church.
Oh yeah, I'm like, dude, let him come with you. Do you have a secret elevator from the water? Also, another set that I saw from Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah, couldn't you just shove him in the back of a van and just have somebody drive the van to the church, and like that way all he has to do is fight up the stairs of the church or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know. Maybe that's the biggest, like, suspension of disbelief part. Like, we're just
Yeah.
gonna. You want to see 30 minutes of John Wick fighting people, don't you? Like, let's just not ask the questions too much. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but, but like, when I realized that he was just leaving Winston to fight his way all the way back to where Winston already is, I was just like, oh, well, fuck John, I guess. Just
Yeah.
good luck. But
Yeah, and then they have to fight his way up the stairs, which probably a calculated thing when they were choosing the location and everything. The card game that they had to play, I thought was pretty cool. I didn't 100% understand it. I knew they were trying to flip over high numbers. I got that part of it, but like they have 14 tiles in front of them, and somehow John flipped over a 23 at one point. Um,
I figured it out. It was confusing. They wanted to, so I think the way the game works is they say what they want their terms to be, and whoever's card is a higher number, they get it. It's
yeah,
it's
but they
it's
have
a game of chance.
yeah, but they have 14 cards in front of them, and John Wick had a 23.
Yeah.
unless they have 28 cards total, split them in half and 14 each, and so there's a chance that one of them has a 28.
But yeah,
But
I
was
don't know
just
how the
confused. I was
numbers
just
work.
confused at first because they flipped. The one dude flipped over an 8, and then John flipped over a 3. I was like, okay, it's a 1 to 14. There's a chance of a tie somewhere here. But then, like John Wick wanted, I forgot, pistols, and he flips over a 23. I'm like, wait, you have 14 tiles. How do you get a 23?
Yeah, I don't know how the numbers were. At first, like at the beginning of that, I thought I was like, is this just for dramatic effect? Like, this is what I will have, and I already know where my card is. But I think it was just whoever flips over the highest number, and I don't know how the numbers.
I
The
would, I would
deck.
assume. I was after thinking about it for 2 seconds now. I would assume that it's 28 total cards. You 14 each, two rows of 7. So there's no duplicates. You can't tie. And then just split them in half.
That was too many numbers for me to compute.
Yeah,
You just
yeah. Numbered 1 to 28, split them in half. You can't tie. So,
oh yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, I mean it was, but I thought that was cool. I thought that was a cool addition. The only part that I really didn't like, that I was like, come on, really, like let's go, was when Winston was handing the dual challenge to the guy. And he walked like super long across all of those paintings down the hallway.
I
was like,
actually
this,
we laughed in my theater about that because it was just so long.
it
I
was
actually really
obnoxious. It was probably, realistically, it was probably only like 10 or 15 seconds, but it
yeah.
felt like forever. Him
That
walking across, and then to like walk up right to the painting where he's at, and he's like, "Oh, that's the painting that depicts treason." And I was like, "What? you walked by like 90 other paintings. Why? How do you know about this one?"
did you catch that John Wick didn't fire the last time in the duel?
Yes,
I loved that.
I caught that. I don't know how the bad guy doesn't catch that.
Yeah. He sees him fall. I don't know.
Then claims the right of the final shot or whatever, the killing shot.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the original cut was like 3 hours 45 minutes, something like that, or 3.5 hours, and Chad Stahelski said it felt like that. So his first thing he went through and then cut out anytime someone repeated something. Just so everything is just, you say it once
Clean.
and done. You gotta remember, audience. But he also said that this is the one film that he's never got bored by when rewatching, and he watched it a lot. And then also, even when he would have them only take out 30 seconds, he'd makes, I think with him potentially, make his editor or one of the editors rewatch the entire film to really feel how it felt together. So I think if we were all analyzing this to the nth degree, we would have predicted that this is the last one. Like, Keanu Reeves in an interview said he didn't have any checklist going in, but Chad definitely did. It's the longest one, over almost 3 hours. They had to make they had to make sure that it worked like perfectly, like just being really anal about it, not thinking about the future necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, it's solid. I mean, it definitely is. It definitely is solid. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to be one of those editors. I saw that article. I definitely don't want to be one of those guys, because I don't feel like I want to sit down and rewatch this movie, 15 times over the course of 3 or 4 weeks.
And I am not a fan of rewatching anything, ever.
Never seen a TV show like 100 times by this point.
I didn't.
It's only 2 seasons.
I didn't max out my week of A-list for the week that Glass Onion was in theaters. That's not what happened.
Yeah, you haven't seen Ted Lasso 14 times front to back.
Oh yeah, no, at least 30.
You didn't watch episodes of Grace and Frankie several times.
I've
do a 16-hour video.
Yeah, I've rewatched Ted Lasso episode 1 enough times, I think it's 3 or 4, that someone I was talking to on Twitter showed a GIF that they created, and I was like, "You already made a GIF of season 3, episode 1? Hero." I knew the exact moment. It's bad. Yeah, if like I said, if this is the end of John Wick, I know there'll be Continental and stuff. I think I'm satisfied.
I think it was pretty solid. I like the added touch of him and his wife at the end of it, sharing that moment. So I like that. I really don't think this is the end. I think that they're going to let it die for a little while, and then they might bring it back, or he might reappear in a movie, in one of the spin-offs or something like that. But I really don't think he's dead.
I mean, honestly, Keanu Reeves is 58. If they take 5 years off, he's going to be 63. I don't know if I want to ask him to come back at this point. I mean, I know Tom Cruise is 60, but he might be killing off Ethan Hunt in Dead Reckoning Part 2 at this point.
I think that's a good possibility.
Yeah. I hope not, because I have the pitch that I've mentioned of doing... since they're doing 2 back-to-back ones, and the first cut of Dead Reckoning Part 1 is 3 hours over, I don't want them to cut any more. Like, one of the producers was like, "We watched it, it's testing amazing, it's freaking great, we gotta cut it down." It sounded like it's an amazing movie at 3 hours, and then he's like, "But executive, we need to have more screenings, so let's cut it down." If this is 6 hours done, let's do it. I'm just saying that they're 3 hour, that the first half is 3 hours, so that this seems less insane. But I want after this for them to make film all at once 13 hour and 20 hour and 30-minute movies. So 4. There would be 4 in presumably what Dead Reckoning Part 1 and 2 are doing, and then just release them 1 month at a time. Over the course of 13 years, boom, we're done. You could literally do a fake out kill of Ethan Hunt, leave him out of the next 2 movies, so you're like, wait, did he really die? And then have him come back halfway through another movie after that. You bring back everyone. You bring back Jeremy not Piven, Jeremy Renner. Especially after his accident, that he's not dead, and he's like, bring back Paula Patton, bring back everybody, and just have a big old woo last ride. Every movie gets 1 or 2 crazy Tom Cruise stunts, except for the 2 where we're pretending he's dead. Let's do this anyway. But yeah, the thing is, if they continue it and do a 5, they've already fake out death
Once.
John Wick. So if they just come back in 5-6 years with a fifth one and that's the end, that'll feel weird. So in my mind, I'm thinking if Keanu Reeves comes back, we're getting another 3 or 4, So I don't know if, even if they went at the same pace in 5 years coming back, he would be 63 then. And then if they did one every 2 years, he'd be 69. Okay, that's funny. I'm down. Never mind. I'm back on the train. But realistically, I don't know if I want to be asking somebody who's getting up to Clint Eastwood age, to be that limber. And I mean, Tom Cruise has the power of Scientology fueling him. He's gonna die on a set one day. That's just written in the third stone tablet that Moses forgot on top. I don't know if is that part of Scientology. That's his fate.
Yeah, the third tablet that he dropped on the way down. I've got 3 tablets. Oh no, I've got 2 tablets. I've only ever had 2.
Wait, he didn't break it. Someone offered to help. It turned out to be Tom Cruise, and he just ran. He ran completely for 40 days and 40 nights straight out of the desert, no water. He was fine. So I don't know. If I were Keanu Reeves, I'd be like, buddy. Maybe if we got 2 more. I don't know.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind, since we're not, if we're not going to do any more, right, with Keanu Reeves, I wouldn't mind either a flashback prequel with him in it, later on in the series is a nod, or have him
a Batman Beyond thing.
Have him yeah, I guess, or have him cameo as a continental owner, continental manager, look slightly different, and have the person be like, "You look really familiar." He's like, "Nope, I'm just I'm about ready to hand over my managership to the next manager and just hand it off," and just as a little nod.
I'm Jack Wax.
Yeah.
I could see if we did
Juan Jick.
He is Asian. Like Keanu Reeves. He is Asian.
Philippines, correct?
I don't know. I only know he's Asian because Ali Wong, when she brought him into Always Be My Maybe, she's like, I'm claiming him for the Asians. He's Asian forever.
Oh, I thought his mom was Filipino or something like that.
I just
that was
don't.
A real thing.
No, he is Asian. I just don't know. Keanu. How? God, this is my search. This is going to be in my search history. How is Keanu Reeves Asian?
The government's going to look at this someday and be like, whoa.
His American father is from Hawaii and is of native Hawaiian, Chinese, English, Irish, and Portuguese descent. His grandmother from his father's side is Chinese Hawaiian. Okay. And his mother was working in Beirut when she met his father. Who? Oh no! I thought this was going to be some. I thought what I was reading when I went, oh no, was that the father left his wife to be with this mother, and I was like, well, we got Keanu Reeves, so sorry, first wife. But no, it said his mother was working in Beirut when she met his father, who abandoned his wife and family when Reeves was 3 years old. Oh, well, Keanu Reeves definitely turned out a lot healthier than I did.
That took a turn.
Yes, I felt. I was like, oh no, that's so darkly comical that if somebody didn't get abandoned, Keanu Reeves wouldn't be the shining light he is. He wouldn't exist. But no, Keanu Reeves was the. Fuck that motherfucker. God, American dads. Wait, is that a show?
Yes.
Oh
American
shit!
Dad, yes.
All right. Anything else for John Wick?
No, I would give this movie a solid mushroom.
You know what? I said I wasn't going to give it a mushroom, but considering everything we've talked about, yeah, just going to stay. This is the best of them for me. You said it was your number one as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Just squeaking out John Wick 1.
And the fact that they made the best of them by a hair in like what 2 years theoretically, and it's the longest one, and which that gives the most opportunity for drag and bloat and
the only one with a post-credit scene.
yeah.
Post-credit seconds.
Freaking great. So what was your, if you had to rate the other ones based on the movies or dope meter, what would you rate them?
I don't think I'd probably give anything low. I don't think I'd give 2 anything lower than a joint. I would say, let's see, 1 is probably like edibly mushroom, so like getting there. So 3 would probably be edible, and then 2 would probably be a jointy edible.
All right. I just realized again that I didn't finish what I was saying about thinking that the John Wick trailer was shit. I didn't see it in theaters, the first one, to the point where I kept hearing how great it was. I was like, God dang! All right, I'll buy it. I bought it on digital for like $15. I remember. Watch all the special features. It was great. Anyway, all right, let me think about what the fuck did I just do? Oh my god! Oh my fuck! What is that? Our review of The Whale is playing in my ears and it's hurting my ears. Stop it! It wasn't even playing, and then I paused it. It kept going. I got scared. I heard me yell, "Gals!" and I thought it was you screaming at me. Fuck! I didn't even click on anything recently. Okay, stop. It's okay. All right, let me think. Number one, I'd say evening out with the geriatric last action scene. I'd say edible. But then that's disrespectful to 2 and 3, which I would also say is a very good movie, firing on all cylinders, because I don't think they're a solid, enjoyable film that wouldn't break the mold but is easy watching. I guess I'll say edibly mushroom for 1. It just did it again. I'm so angry at it yelling at me. And I'll just say edible. You know what? Actually, no. I'm going to go edible for 1, edibly joint for 2, and because of the unresolved cliffhanger nature, I'll say edibly joint for 3 as well, and then mushroom for this one.
Okay.
Yeah, because 1 was second for me as well, right? I don't even remember.
Yeah, I think our orders were the same. I think I just had 1 and 4 a little bit closer. I had 2 kind of off the back end.
I think 2 and 3 were switched for me and you, because 2 was your bottom, right?
Yes.
2, because it didn't have an unresolved cliffhanger, was higher than 3 for me.
And it was just pure action, almost no dialogue. It was just like a video game that you just have to smash your way to the end, and every now and then somebody says something that makes you mad.
Yeah. Anything else, sir?
No, sir. This movie may have been a mushroom for me.
And before I finish, and this movie may also have been a mushroom for me, but before we finish that, I just want to say, I don't know if we don't have another one lined up that we're doing next. However, I do want to do multiple short episodes, like thousands of episodes. No, as many episodes, honestly, until like Brad gets tired of talking about it, about The Matrix, all 4 movies. in a series called Movies Are Deep. And there's going to be a new thumbnail for those videos or those podcast episodes in particular. But either way, this movie... Do I say that or do you say that? I'm getting back into the outro.
Either way, this movie is dope.
Because movies are dope. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Check out both YouTube channels below. I'm trying to make both of them regular.